Good morning. This morning we're at All Saints Church in Danehill in East Sussex, and we're here to visit the final resting place of two people, a married couple. Now I remember both of them, one of them more than the other. He was a star in a lot of the Carry On films. I think 16 parts he played in Carry On films over the years. And we're also here to visit his wife, who was a Margaret Thatcher impersonator, as well as being an actress in her own right. Now, because we're going to visit two people, normally I just focus on the one person. The person was known, and don't really pay too much attention to their partner. But in this case, because they are both well known, both famous, I'm going to give you a bio on both of them. Now we'll start off with Peter Butterworth, because he's the one I remember more. Absolutely loved him. Especially that one scene in one of the Carry On films where he's in the hospital and the two doctors are placing bets on what his ailment is. Unfortunately, they were both wrong.
Excuse me, sir, but my friend and I, we're doing spot diagnosis, and I was wondering if you could help me. Now, I'd say you've got hemorrhoids, and he thinks it's a slip disc. Now, could you tell us?
Let me see now. You thought it was a slip disc.
That's right.
I'm afraid you were wrong. And you thought it was hemorrhoids.
That's right.
I'm afraid you were wrong.
Well, what then?
As a matter of fact, I thought I was going to break wind. I'm afraid I was wrong.
And also, we'll go through the history of Janet Brown. I'll give you a little bio on Janet Brown. Now, as I said before, she was a very well-known Margaret Thatcher impersonator, amongst many other things. So what I shall do, I shall spin you around. We'll have a little look around this churchyard here and have a look at the church. Though they're not actually buried in this churchyard, they're buried in the cemetery across the road. But we'll start off with Peter Butterworth. So I shall spin you around and I'll give you a quick bio on Peter Butterworth. Peter William Shorrocks Butterworth was born on the 4th of February 1915 in Bramhall, Cheshire. Butterworth served as a lieutenant in the Fleet Air Arm of the Royal Navy during the Second World War. On the 21st of June 1940, while serving with 826 Naval Air Squadron, Butterworth was shot down during an attack against a German-occupied seaplane airbase on Texel in the Netherlands. 4 were killed. Butterworth and his air gunner became POWs. Butterworth was sent to Stalag Luft 3 near Sagan in Poland. It was there he met Talbot Rothwell, who later went on to write many of the Carry On films in which Butterworth was to star. Having never performed in public before his imprisonment, Butterworth formed a duo with Rothwell and sang in the camp shows. They delivered a song which Rothwell called The Letter Edged in Black. The performance was followed by some comic repartee which, according to Butterworth's account, provoked enough boos and hisses to have the desired effect of drowning out the sounds of an escape tunnel being dug by other prisoners' escape party. Butterworth was one of the vaulters covering for the escapers during the escape portrayed by the book and film The Wooden Horse. Within the same camp as Butterworth and Rothwell were the future actors Rupert Davies and John Casson, the son of Lewis Casson and Sybil Thorndike. All 5 remained very close friends after the war ended, and they all appeared in This Is Your Life when Butterworth was a subject of the programme in 1975. Butterworth came to notice after appearing in pantomime around the UK. His first film appearance was in the Val Guest film William Comes to Town 1948. Guest and Butterworth became close friends, and the two worked on a further 7 films together during their careers. His first major success was on television in the Terry Thomas sketch show How Do You View, in which he played the chauffeur Lockett. His wife Janet Brown was also a cast member. He continued to take minor parts in films and went on to appear alongside actors including Sean Connery, David Niven and Douglas Fairbank Jr. during his career. Around the time his work in the Carry On films began, he guest appeared in 2 Doctor Who stories, starring William Hartnell in 1965 and 66. Butterworth's association with the Carry On films began midway through the series with Carry On Cowboy in 1965, playing the part of Doc. He was put in touch with the creator of the series, Peter Rogers, by his friend Talbot Rothwell, the writer of Carry On Cowboy, and who had written the previous 4 films. Out of the actors who were considered to be Carry On team, he was the 6th most prolific performer in the series, making 16 film appearances, 2 Christmas specials, the television series in 1975, and the West End theatre productions, which also toured the country alongside Sid James, Barbara Windsor and Kenneth Connor. His Carry On appearances portrayed his characters as typically quiet and subtly eccentric. He was often cast as a stooge for another character. Thus, in Carry On Screaming, he played Detective Constable Slowbottom, the assistant for Detective Sergeant Bung, played by Harry H. Corbett, while in Don't Lose Your Head he played Citizen Biddet, the assistant to Citizen Camembert, played by Kenneth Williams. In Carry On Camping he played Joshua Fiddler, the laid-back and eccentric campsite manager who persuades Sid James' character to part with most of his money when booking into the campsite. Such was his loyalty to Peter Rogers and Gerald Thomas that Butterworth agreed to play 3 small roles in Carry On Again Doctor, Carry On Loving and Carry On Henry. He was unable to take larger parts due to other work and stage commitments, but these minor roles were especially written into the films for him. Butterworth returned to playing more substantial parts within the Carry On films with Carry On Abroad 1972, in which he played Pepe, the manager of an unfinished hotel with his nagging wife, Hattie Jakes. Butterworth remained with the series until the final film in the main series, Carry On Emmanuel, in 1978. Having appeared in many of Val Guest's films during the beginning of his career, he also made 3 appearances in the films of Richard Lester. He appeared in Lester's film version of A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum in 1966. A decade later he appeared consecutively in The Ritz and Robin and Marion, both 1976, alongside Sean Connery, Richard Harris and Audrey Hepburn. He also made a special appearance in an episode of Catweasel, The Demi-Devil in 1970, and the Dad's Army episode The Face on the Poster 1975. In 1975 he was a subject of an episode of This Is Your Life, whereby Eamon Andrews surprised him while he was shopping in Selfridges in London. Friends who took part in the show included Terry Scott, Talbot Rothwell, Jimmy Jewell, John Casson and Rupert Davis. Butterworth's wife and their 2 children, Tyler and Emma, were also at the recording. When the Carry On films finished in 1978, Butterworth began to concentrate on straight roles, taking a small part in the feature film The First Great Train Robbery with Sean Connery, and the Alan Bennett play Afternoon Off, both in 1979. These 2 productions were shown posthumously. Butterworth was introduced to actress and impressionist Janet Brown by Rothwell, and the 2 married in 1946 at St Mary's, Bryanston Square, Marylebone. They had 2 children. Their son, Tyler Butterworth, also became an actor and is married to the actress Janet Dibley. Their daughter Emma was born in 1962. Unfortunately, she died in 1996, aged 34. In 1979, whilst The First Great Train Robbery was on general release, Butterworth was starring as Widow Twankey in the pantomime Aladdin at the Coventry Theatre. When the show had finished, he went back to his hotel following the evening's performance. His failure to return for the following day's matinee show caused alarm, and he was found dead in his room from a heart attack. Butterworth was buried in Danehill Cemetery in East Sussex.
Well, that is the life story of Peter Butterworth. Now, one of my viewers keeps commenting on the fact that it's always raining when I come out. I should turn the camera around so you can see this view behind me. It's beautiful. Yeah, one of my viewers keeps commenting on the fact that it's always raining when I come out. And today is no different. It was pouring down with rain my whole way here. And it is so windy, it is unbelievable. Luckily I'm on the side of a hill and I think the wind is coming up the other side. So every now and then you hear it roaring through these trees above me. But anyway, as I said, that's the story of Peter Butterworth. Now I'll show you around the actual cemetery here. Well, I'll give you a short bio on Janet Brown.
Janet Brown was born in Rutherglen, Lanarkshire, and educated at Rutherglen Academy. During World War II, Brown enlisted in the Auxiliary Territorial Service and was the first female performer to take part in Stars in Battle dress. She entered British film as an actress in 1948, notably in Folly to be Wise 1952, and then appeared in several British television series such as The Eric Barker Half Hour 1952, How Do You View 1952 to 53, and Friends and Neighbours 1954. Beginning with Margaret Thatcher's election as the leader of the Conservative Party in 1975, Brown gained increasing prominence because of her realistic impression of the Tory politician. She performed as Thatcher on BBC TV's Mike Yarwood show, on BBC Radio's The News Headlines, and on film in the 1981 James Bond film For Your Eyes Only. In 1979, Brown starred as Thatcher on the comedy album Iron Lady, The Coming of the Leader, written by private eye satirist John Wells.
As Britain's first woman Prime Minister, that it is a great honour.
She was the subject of This Is Your Life in 1980 when she was surprised by Eamon Andrews. During the 1970s and 1980s, she was occasionally confused by some with fellow actress and comedienne Faith Brown, because they had the same surname and were both best remembered for their Margaret Thatcher impersonations. In 1990, she recorded a spoken word sequence in her Margaret Thatcher voice for Mike Oldfield's album Amarok. Still acting in her 80s, her last role was as Old Lady Squeamish on the London West End stage in a production of Wycherley's The Country Wife at the Theatre Royal Haymarket, which opened in September 2007. She entitled her 1986 autobiography Prime Mimicker. Brown was married to carry-on actor Peter Butterworth from 1946 until his death in 1979. The two appeared alongside each other in the television comedy series How Do You View 1947-53, written by and starring Terry Thomas. They also appeared together in the 1972 film Bless This House. The couple had two children, a son, actor Tyler Butterworth, born 1959, and a daughter, Emma, who died in 1996, aged 34. Brown never remarried, spending the rest of her life in Hove until her death following a brief illness in a nursing home in May 2011, aged 86. She is buried alongside her husband Peter Butterworth in Danehill Cemetery in East Sussex, which is where we are today.
Well, that was a short bio on Janet Brown as well. Very talented lady, very convincing Margaret Thatcher. I've seen a few impressionists of Margaret Thatcher in the past, but she was by far the best one I've seen. But this is really lovely in here with this bird song. There's birds everywhere. Now I know it's early spring. Spring officially started yesterday, and the weather is atrocious. At the moment it's just a little bit chilly. I reckon it's going to struggle to get above 0 today, and it feels like it. But anyway, their final resting place is just up here in front of me, so I'll spin you around and we'll go and have a look at it together. It's treacherous on this hill. I don't know if you heard when I was walking around the sloppiness, the mud and that, and there's quite a few headstones in here. If you look up there, I don't know if you can actually make them out on the camera, they've got the yellow triangles on them. They're all categorised as unsafe monuments, so I think there might be a bit of movement in the ground here. A nice pheasant in the background as well. But anyway, their final resting place is just up here in front of me. So let's have a look. And this is treacherous walking up here, believe me. Here we go. This is the final resting place of Peter Butterworth and Janet Brown. Peter Butterworth, actor, died 17th of January 1979, and Janet Brown, actress, died 27th of May 2011. Life is real and death is the illusion. But there you go. That is the final resting place of Peter Butterworth and Janet Brown. Well, I had to get off that hill before I started filming again in case I embarrassed myself. But that was the final resting place of Peter Butterworth and Janet Brown, both very talented actors in their own right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. As usual, if you did, give me a thumbs up, and if you like the content, and you want to see more, I have 50 plus videos in my collection so far, and there'll be many more to come, hopefully. But yeah, if you like the content, then maybe consider subscribing, and well, you know the rest. But anyway, that is me, Darren, from Danehill in East Sussex. I will see you all again soon, so thank you all very, very much for watching, especially my subscribers who return to me on a regular basis. I love your comments. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye for now.